Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were they were bound to change when it was found. Sugar never tasted sweeter on my lips. My heart is now intact and I can find
Well, hello, good evening, and welcome to the X-RAD show, the talk show that really does get you talking on the Xandermonium Network, live from New York City. I'm Xander Gibb.
And I'm Margret Echeverria.
Oh, yes, sir. On today's show, the hottest of topics, and we will be finding out exactly what you would think. So you can tweet us. The tweet dates are on the Xrad Facebook show page for today. You can join in the feed around the oh, sorry, I was just distracted by Sadie saying something in the chat room, saying Chris called excited about Comey, saying it's like Christmas and try and contact the media. And she's on a mission. I'm sorry. I just had to read that because I thought she was going to say, Chris has just knocked on the door and he's home. So you can join us in the feed, around, the live video. And we will endeavor to include you, in the conversation. Welcome back to the show, Margaret. How is the world with you?
It's good. You know, it's been a very stressful week, you know, trying to get the bills paid and, driving for rideshare and discovering that it's a really raw deal here in New York City to drive for rideshare, and I wish I hadn't decided to do it.
So tell us a bit more about that, because I would like for you, I'm sorry for your experience, but I'd like your experience to prevent others from kind of like having a bad experience, as it were.
Well, it's about $6,000 to start up, and that's because the insurance is so expensive. You can't get insurance to drive for rideshare in New York City through a place like Geico or Progressive or anything like that. You have to go through sort of these shady insurance companies, and you have to pay for an entire quarter of the insurance up front, and the insurance is about $800 a month if your car is financed, and you have to insure your car for damage to your car, not just insure your own liability.
Right.
Which most people would have to do if they were driving a car nice enough to drive other people around in as customers. And then you have to apply for the TLC license, which is expensive. You have to go to taxi school, which is expensive. Tolls are expensive. Gas is expensive. Maintaining your car, driving on these New York City roads with their potholes and their crevices and their...
You're telling me.
You know, it's very expensive. And so I find that by the time I pay everything I need to pay to even be in the business, I'm not making much at all. My profit margin is very low.
So do the bonuses they offered initially, do they only last for a certain amount of time, or?
Yeah, the bonuses and the guaranteed income, they only last for about a month. And then after that, you get incentives. You know, if you do so many rides at a certain time in certain areas, you can make an extra $35 or something like that. And then when you divide it out, you're like, wait a minute, I'm being paid an extra $1 a ride? Are you kidding me?
Wow.
And then it's impossible to achieve these incentives most of the time, unless you're driving, 24/7.
Right. So who is making the money in all of this? Do you pay a percentage of each fare to Uber as a part of this?
Yes.
And what's
25% of the fare.
How much?
25%.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. So once you add in tolls and then there's a black car fee, which is essentially a tax, a TLC tax, that you're paying in addition to what you're paying to Uber. So once add everything up. It really, if you put it down on paper, it's not a good idea to be in this business. And
Wow.
I don't really know what I'm going to do. I've got a big audition tomorrow. I'm hoping I'll land it.
Wow,
That would
that's
save my life.
good news. Can you tell us anything about that, or is it like hush hush?
I can tell you that it's a commercial, but it's only internet. But it would be, it would be some cash in my pocket,
Right.
which would be nice.
Right. I think everybody is having to kind of, I was going to say digress. What's the word I'm looking for? When you kind of turn... Diversify. That's the word I'm looking for. And I'm having to do that right now because obviously this show is not syndicated as yet. So I'm, signing up to do, voiceovers. I used to do a lot of them was when I was in the UK. And, made some good money from them. But I think that, the economy has to change. The economy has to get better for all of us, and get better to a point where we don't all have to do 25 jobs just to survive. Because what's the difference between that and slavery?
Right. And the healthcare has to get more affordable. I mean, I've had two, healthcare things that I needed to have taken care of in the last 2 weeks, and every time I saw these doctors, I had to shell out $50.
Wow.
In addition to my, $1,000 a month premium. So it's getting a little ridiculous. Just the cost of living is just insane. And I was thinking maybe I should take on, part-time work at Whole Foods or Trader Joe's or something like that. I understand they have really good insurance policies for people who are working part-time.
Yes. I'm a big fan of Trader Joe's, and I know people that work there, and they kind of get treated very well, and they get discounts. I mean, I would be tempted to work there just to get the discounts, to be honest, because
That's great for my family.
And apparently on the West Coast they call it TJ's. One of my friends on the West Coast sent me some stuff and was like, "Oh, do you like this?" I was like, "Oh yeah, I get them all the time." And they're like, "Oh, so you have a TJ's where you live?" I was like, what the hell is TJ's?
I love Trader Joe's.
Yeah, so all you West Coasters out there that posh it all up and call it TJ's, it's just plain old Trader Joe's over on here on the East Coast. I just want to say a quick hello to some people that are, well, all the people actually that are in the live feed, just so they don't think that we're not, that we are ignoring them. I'm sorry, my computer's doing some weird stuff tonight. It keeps changing pages, and it wants to go to Tucker Carlson, and Xander Gibb is here, and Xander Gibb is just as good, if not better, than Tucker Carlson. So welcome to everybody and the live feed. Yes, Shyster will be coming on to Comey very soon. Hey to Shyster, hey to Gina, I can't talk now, Gina, hey to Sadie, hey to Cassie, if you're still awake, big hugs. Good evening to Dave. I wasn't aware of Comey until later on in the day. I nearly fell off the chair when I found out, but we'll talk about that again, as I said, in a minute. Hello to Zal, welcome to the show. Hi to Justin, hi to Inga, welcome, and she can hear me, so that's good as well. Holy Moses, Gibb Live works for me again. Good evening. Wow. Well, we just have to thank the Facebook gods tonight because we know that they're being a little bit weird of late. Hi to Tanya. Hi to Dave Rubel. Now I can see people that are watching but not participating too. So hello to all of our early birds. Feel free to come and join in the live feed. You don't have to agree with us. We're not going to be cruel to you, and anybody that is cruel gets kicked out very quickly. But come and join the conversation and tell us what you think. Now we're going to jump right in to the hottest topic of the day, which we just alluded to when I was going through the live feed, because it's something that really surprised me, but I was pleasantly surprised at this news today, because obviously I'm waffling because I'm getting my teleprompter to the right position. Shh, don't tell anybody. It's all high tech here. So today, President Donald J. Trump informed FBI Director James Comey that he has been terminated and removed from office. Now, the White House statement reads, President Trump acted based on the clear recommendations of both Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein and Attorney General Jeff Sessions, the statement said. In addition to a statement, the White House released the letter to Trump, wrote directly to Comey, dismissing him at the recommendation of the aforementioned people, effective immediately. Whilst I greatly appreciate you informing me on 3 separate occasions that I am not under investigation, I nevertheless concur with the judgment of the Department of Justice that you are not able to effectively lead the Bureau. Sorry, I'm a little bit nauseated, but it's a pleasant nausea. Trump wrote, "It's essential that we find new friendship." We find new leadership for the FBI that restores public trust and confidence in vital law enforcement mission. Now, Trump's letter states, and Attorney General Jeff Sessions' letter to the president was also released, wherein he states that he has concluded that a fresh start is needed of the leadership of the FBI. Now, Senator Lindsey Graham, Republican South Carolina, was one of the first politicians, I'm not suggesting he's gay, honestly, but his boyfriend definitely is, outside of the White House to release a statement. Graham acknowledged that it was a difficult decision for all concerned and said that he appreciates Comey's public service given the recent controversies surrounding the director. I believe a fresh start will serve the FBI and the nation well. I encourage the president to select the most qualified professional available who will serve our nation's interests. Don't be asking me, Donald. It's not my field. So, Margaret, I'm going to come right to you. What do you make of the fact that he's been fired today?
Well, I think that this is really, really obvious. You know, Comey was investigating people around the Trump administration for inappropriate behaviors and inappropriate contacts with foreign nations, and I think that this is an effort to cover all of that up, and I think that's shameful. Now, Comey has not always acted in a way that I have always appreciated. I mean, I think the whole Hillary Clinton email thing was absolutely ridiculous. There was nothing to investigate, and I think he could have chosen his words better.
Nothing to investigate.
And his timing better. No, there was nothing to investigate. And then
wait.
You also have to remember.
Okay. Let you finish.
Comey is a hero. When it comes to our domestic surveillance program, and I'm talking about when Gonzalez and the other guy, I can't remember his name, were trying to get Ashcroft to sign off on the domestic surveillance program, and Comey saved us from that. Because those people were trying to take advantage of a very sick man during the Bush administration, and that started a whole standoff between the Justice Department and the White House. But I think that Comey stood on the right side of justice in that particular.
I would probably agree with you on that. But when you say there was nothing to investigate with regards to Hillary Clinton, you mean aside of 33,000 counts of mishandling classified information, for starters. Because I would have had at least an element of respect for Hillary if she hadn't have destroyed all the computers and the phones and the servers. Because to me, if you have nothing to hide, you know, it's like when you go to the airport. I'm sorry, there's a mouse in the studio, and every so often I hear it, and it really disturbs me. So if you see me throwing a large object across the studio, you'll know why. The thing is, for me, if she'd have actually handed all that over and said, you know, I've got nothing to hide, take a look, you know, I might have had a modicum of respect for her. But it's like when you go to the airport, it's like these people that say, it's disgusting that we have to go through all of this, you know, to fly. Well, don't fly. You know, the thing is that if there's an accepted protocol with regards to working in public office and you leave yourself wide open, I don't think you can kind of really say that that's nothing to investigate.
But he investigated it thoroughly, and there was really there's nothing to it. There's really nothing to any of that stuff about the emails. There's nothing to get
Margaret, wake up and smell the coffee, girlfriend.
It amounted to nothing.
Well, it amounted to nothing until it started getting people killed and people started finding out their secrets. Like people that were...
Been through that.
Wait. Let me... if you let me answer your question before you carry on. There was a Russian operative that was a double agent that she was
the emails.
Sorry? Yes, it came out of the emails.
Not because no.
Yeah, it did. It did.
It was not. We've been through this.
Well, we'll have to agree to disagree on that one. But that's something that we had that researched with the show, that did come out of the emails. I mean, admittedly, it's a precarious situation to be a double agent, but it was as a direct result of the emails. But I want to come back to Comey because, you know, when you think about his whole performance, the concern for me with regards to Comey is that he was far too political. Now, I think when you're in a job like that, just like when you're a judge, you should be concerned with the law and the law alone. And your interpretation of the law should not be changed or swayed by your political motivation. Wouldn't you agree with that?
You should not be persuaded by your political motivation. Although, it's difficult, though. It's got to be difficult to be in that position. I would hate to be appointed to be neutral, in a administrative position within the U.S. government. I don't think I could do it, to be honest, just personally. But it's got to be difficult. But no, you are not supposed to be persuaded by your party affiliation when you are in positions like director of the FBI.
And I think when you are, and it's provable, I mean, I really think that a lot, at the beginning of all of this, there should have been, when Trump first took office, he should have swept clean. Now, in a lot of companies, when there's a takeover, when there's a new boss, they appoint new members of staff. Even the secretaries are replaced. And I think sometimes that's not a bad thing. And I think that the problem that we've seen with people like Comey and Yates are that they've been too committed to the previous administration and not willing to work within the ramifications of the new administration. And I think if you're not able to do that, I mean, I see what you're saying. I wouldn't be able to do it. This is why I do what I do. But having said that, don't take on the job if you can't do it. I mean, his commentary about being nauseated. I mean, please, if you can't deal with the things that you're given to do in your position as the head of the FBI, then you shouldn't be there.
I think he was nauseated for reasons of ethics, not reasons of politics.
Well, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it wasn't a bit of both, because even when you think about the he should have really. I think, in my personal opinion, he was not the right person to deal with that. And the moment there were ex parte meetings with Loretta Lynch and Bill Clinton, that should have been it. It should have been somebody else should have taken over, because you can't have the appearance of impropriety and then still claim, oh, it was all fair and square and everything was okay.
Well, see, we don't know what was said in that meeting is the only thing. We just don't have any proof of what was said.
But it doesn't matter what was said. It doesn't matter.
It does. It matters.
No, it doesn't.
We can't.
It's about.
Fire people without proof.
I never said. I never said fired. I said that they should have been removed from the investigation. But the point that I'm making is that we come back to this in a lot of legal situations about the appearance of impropriety. And with that, there was an appearance of impropriety. We don't know what was said, but we shouldn't need to have to ascertain or guess what was said, because the meeting should never have happened. It was inappropriate. And there was an appearance of impropriety, and that spoke volumes to the American public, and she should have recused herself at that point, and Comey should have never been involved in the investigation to begin with. Because I think that people, this is the thing, whoever you are, whatever your political affiliation with, there will always be people willing to say that you did that. And people say there's no smoke without fire. And we know that's not true, because because, there is such thing as a smoke machine. But the thing is, with regards to all of this, they lost the respect of the American public because there was an appearance of impropriety, and whether it was or not, we will never know. But we cannot err on the side of caution when it's something so important as this.
Well, I can see your point. He hasn't always been loaded with tact and good timing. I'll give you that.
Absolutely, but Margaret, I have to say, if this had been Bush, and Bush was being investigated by the FBI, and his wife had met on a plane with Loretta Lynch, I would be saying exactly the same thing, because we have to hold everybody to the same standard, in my calculation, because when we don't, we actually become as bad as those that we're criticizing. We have to expect the same level of response to everybody, regardless of whether they're in our good books or a part of our political set or not. Because I think when we don't, we're breaking down that fabric of what makes America America.
Well, I just want to go after bigger fish, because I think these meetings take place all the time. I think there's backroom deals all the time. I think people who are not supposed to meet with each other happen to meet with each other all the time, and I think people influence other people all the time in government. And I think, there are much bigger, more interesting fish for me. For example, this Flynn thing is very interesting to me. I really want to know what he did.
I think it's interesting to most people, but I think that one of the things that jumps out to me about that is that, this ideology that Obama said that he warned Donald Trump. Flynn should have been gone from day one. Before, it should have been made clear that you're gone. Never mind in like Flynn, it should be out like Flynn, really.
Do you think there's a woman involved?
Expand.
Well, I just feel like if the Russians could potentially blackmail Flynn, right, because of something that he did,
right,
that is classified, that we don't know what he did. I'm just wondering if there's some sort of, illicit, seduction, something like maybe an illegitimate child from a Russian woman. I mean, could it be that juicy?
I don't know. It possibly could, but I think what this investigation this last week has kind of shown is that they still actually know absolutely nothing about the allegations regarding Russia. And I think that ultimately it's time to either prove it or shut up, because I think, like you said, there are bigger fish to fry. There are bigger things to deal with. And all this is subterfuge as far as I'm concerned. And I refer to it as free pizza. It's like, come here, get free pizza. And anyone that knows me knows that I love free pizza. Well, I like free anything. It's the Jewish in me. But yeah, I could. So Domino's, if you're watching and you can deliver within 20 minutes before the show is over, we'll give you some free advertising. Yeah, I just think that you can't go on with allegations. You have to have some level of proof. And if you can't prove it, it's actually slanderous, basically. So prove it or shut up,
Right, but I still don't think, I think that having Flynn in classified meetings after the White House had been warned, after White House counsel had been warned that there were some big problems with that guy,
I'm not...
was really, like, that was...
Right.
I mean, you talk about the wrong people being with the wrong people in a meeting.
Right.
I mean, that, to me, is a much bigger deal.
But it's still not been confirmed that, Sally Yates says that she charged... she's charging that she informed them 3 times that there were issues with Flynn, but it's hard to know whether she's selling the truth from the perspective. Wait a minute. Let me finish. From the perspective of that, she's got bad feelings about all of this, and so let's have the proof of that has happened. And Obama supposedly warned Trump. Why did Obama reinstate his his privileges, Flynn's privileges, if it was the case that Flynn was untrustworthy.
Because the next president appointed him.
No, he did that before that.
Reinstated Flynn's credentials?
Yes, before that. Before he left office, he reinstated Flynn. And so my point is...
Flynn had been appointed by the incoming administration. I don't think he had a choice.
No. Flynn was a dreg from the Obama administration. And if Obama is saying that he didn't trust Flynn, then why reinstate his credentials again? I mean, I did some research on this yesterday, and the concern for me is that, all of the parties in this...
I think it was because the interview hadn't been conducted yet, so the proof wasn't in the pudding.
Well, it was, because Obama was...
So the interview happened 4 days after the inauguration of President Trump.
But Obama is saying he warned him before.
Sure, Obama had suspicions, but I don't think Obama had anything substantial to back it up.
So then he shouldn't have renewed his credentials if that was the case then.
Yeah, but I mean, if he didn't have any proof, what are you going to do?
Yeah, well, I think it's very interesting and very circumstantial. But I think Obama is looking more and more like incompetent at his job. The more we find out, and that's a concern for me, because I think the American people really deserve better. Dave is saying he must be a leaker along with others. I think you're referring to Flynn. I wouldn't be surprised. There is still a possibility that Susan Rice might be in line for some prosecution. Scheisser says, I'm shocked actually Trump fired him. It looked like he was trying hard to play nice politics. Of course, the Dems will say he was trying to silence his own investigation, but who wants to take bets on that storyline? Something weird's going on with Facebook tonight. Every time I click like, it takes me to the page of the person I've clicked like. I don't want that Facebook, so don't do it. And Samuel says Comey being fired was a good move. I'm sure it will all come out in the wash, and I want to move on to another topic, but I'm aware you wanted to say something else before we did.
No, I just wanted to say that if we fired everyone who mishandled classified email, I don't think there'd be anybody left.
Probably.
They've all screwed that up. They're just beginning to have an understanding of information security and IT problems and risk management. They're just beginning to understand that stuff.
Yeah, I think, as I said, it will all come out in the wash, and I think that there's far more to learn about all of this before the paint dries, as my grandmother used to say. She used to say, "We'll find out a lot more before the paint dries." I'm like, "Oh, have you been doing some painting, Grandma?" And she's like, "No, it's just a phrase." So there you go. Welcome to all the people who have joined us in like mid-topic. Rebecca, and welcome to, I think we said hi to Inga already. Who else did I just see? Maria from New Jersey, representing New Jersey in the house. So welcome. And to Samuel, welcome all of you. I want to move on to, hey, Connie is in the house. I want to move on to the Bill Maher stuff. Real-time host Bill Maher is being criticized for his lewd incest joke about President Donald Trump and his daughter Ivanka. Maher made the controversial comments on his Friday night show that airs on HBO during an interview with New York Magazine's Gabriel Sherman. A lot of us thought, oh, Ivanka is going to be our saving grace. When Trump's about to effing nuke Finland or something, she's going to walk into the bedroom and, daddy, don't do it, daddy, Maher said while making crude gestures with his hands. He's been under fire since, and the president's supporters took to Twitter immediately to slam the real-time host for his remarks. Now, this is not the first time a talk show host is being criticized for comments on the president and the first daughter. There have been instances where the hosts have targeted the president and his daughter separately and together, with remarks widely seen as inappropriate. Now, recently on his May 1st show, Stephen Colbert started his late show with a monologue criticizing Trump for abruptly ending an interview with CBS News Face the Nation host John Dickerson. Dickerson is CBS's new political director and a friend of Colbert, and said, "Sir, you attract more skinheads than free Rogaine." Colbert said, criticizing the president, "You have more people marching against you than cancer. You talk like a sign language gorilla that got hit in the head. In fact, the only thing that your mouth is good for is being Vladimir Putin's beep beep holster." He continued even as the last bit was bleeped during the telecast. Now, Trump supporters were criticizing Colbert immediately for the comments, and many said they were homophobic. Now, as a gay person, I don't think they were homophobic. I mean, you know, that's kind of like what gay people do, but it certainly was disrespectful, but homophobic, no, I don't think so. So I want to ask you, Margaret, do you think this is offensive, and how would this have been responded to if commentary had been made about Obama sexualizing his daughters?
Well, Trump sexualized her first, you know, and he did it to Tiffany as well. I mean, he opened himself up for this. He said that if he wasn't her father, he'd be dating her, and he always compliments her beauty in this really kind of gross kind of way, and he's opened himself up for it. Everyone finds this to be absolutely disgusting, the way he...
So that excuses Colbert's commentary?
Sorry?
Does that excuse Colbert's commentary?
Colbert's commentary?
Yeah.
About him being a receptacle for Putin's cock?
We apologize for that word. She's not referring to the bird, of course. No, I'm sorry. I meant Maher's commentary.
No, I think, look, you know, Trump has already opened the door. I mean, we all find it disgusting that Trump speaks that way about his daughters.
Well, I certainly don't, and I see it from a perspective of that he's saying his daughter is good looking. Could he phrase it a bit better? Absolutely he could. But I want to talk for a minute about the Colbert stuff, because I'm not a Stephen Colbert fan, and not just because he's liberal, and not just because he trashes the president, but in fairness, I don't feel that I think the gay community have got to kind of toughen up a little bit, man up, because I don't think that commentary was homophobic. It was disrespectful to the president and probably to Putin too, but it wasn't necessarily homophobic, in my opinion.
Oh, I don't think it was homophobic at all. I think, I really didn't find it homophobic. I mean, it was an incredible insult. Woo!
Yes.
But it was not homophobic. That had nothing to do with it.
I mean, it's a little bit for me like, the boy who cried wolf, and the gay community, unfortunately, has turned into this, the queer who cried faggot. And I can say that because I'm gay, and I don't mean it in an offensive way. But I think that if the gay community are gonna label everything that is either disagreeable about gay people or that talks about gay people, or that we disagree with about gay people as homophobic, then we may as well just stop now. If it said that Putin was a dirty, sea-sucking faggot, then that would have probably been homophobic. In fact, I'm sure it would have been. But I think that the gay community need to wind it back a little, don't you, Margaret?
Yeah, I think so. I think getting upset and saying that was homophobic is really just kind of ridiculous. I mean, if you want to be upset that he insulted the president, be upset that he insulted the president.
Yeah.
I remember when what's his name? Venezuela. Oh my God, why can't I remember? Che? Is it Che in Venezuela?
Yes, possibly.
Crap, I can't. Oh, I'm so uneducated.
Sorry, I smoked some weed before the show.
In this moment, I am
No, not really.
But remember when he came to the UN and then he stood up on the platform after Bush left the platform and said that he smoked sulfur?
Vaguely.
I was just like, look, you can't come to my country and insult my president like that. And
right.
I was not a fan of Bush at all. But that
I'm not a fan of Bush either, Margaret, for the record.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, I couldn't resist that one. Little double entendre there. Boom, I'll be here all week.
Boom.
No, I definitely wasn't a fan of his.
I mean, I wouldn't go to the UK and stand in a public forum and insult their leader. I mean, I just think that would be. I'm just using the UK as an example because I've lived there.
Right.
I think that's just uncouth. But I think Colbert is a U.S. citizen. If he wants to insult the president on air, he can do it.
So okay then, I have to. You're gonna hate me now for saying this, but so how come it was wrong for people not to be able to be insulting about Obama, and how come it was racist every time it happened? I know you would never have said that, but how come?
Sometimes it was racist. Look, people insulted Obama all the time, and people also made jokes out of Obama all the time.
But it was only.
And sometimes Obama played along with the joke, which I thought was very cute,
But it's only racist if it pertains to the color of someone's skin. And if I say President Obama was the worst leader ever, that's not racist, is it? It's just disagreeing with his leadership style.
Yeah, it's just you didn't like his policy.
Yeah, and what I really think we all have to kind of man the hell up a little bit, because if we're gonna go to those kind of far flung conclusions every time there's an issue, it's sexist, it's racist, it's homophobic. Margaret and I have disagreed on the show tonight, but it's not because I'm sexist, it's because we disagree on the subject matter, and that's absolutely fine. But I definitely think the community as a whole needs to get away from this, because it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. And then when the wolf was there, nobody believed them. So we have to steer away from this kind of behavior.
We have to really get down to what we're really upset about. We can't just throw everything against the wall and hope it sticks. Exactly. So do I think Stephen Colbert was homophobic? Absolutely not. Do I think he was disrespectful? Yeah, I definitely do. And I could make several jokes out of that being a comedian, but, I'm in serious newscaster mode right now, so I won't. But I think Bill Maher pushes the envelope a little too far sometimes, and I think he's going to come a cropper. And people are calling for Colbert and Maher to be fired. And should they be censured? Should they be kind of told to kind of rein it in a little? Yeah, but fired? No. Would I want to be fired for some of the stuff that I've said and done? Absolutely not. But I think there does have to be a benchmark of decency. And some of these things that those people said were not kind of decent or funny, in my opinion. Right. I can see that point of view very clearly.
Absolutely. Great. You see, we're getting somewhere, folks. We got some consensus. So I want to move on to, now it's not the gay show tonight, but it just happened that this story kind of jumped out at me. But Shepard Smith, loudmouth, chief breaking news anchor of Fox News Network, is speaking out about being a gay man. Now, the increased openness about his personal life comes during a period of unprecedented upheaval at the news network following the forced departures of Roger Ailes and Bill O'Reilly, and the subsequent resignation of Bill Shine amid a flurry of sexual harassment allegations. On the topics of his sexuality, the 53-year-old Smith recently told students of a university in Mississippi, can't even say that, Mississippi, his alma mater, "I don't think about it. It's not a thing. I go to work. I manage a lot of people. I cover the news. I deal with holy hell around me. I go home to the man I'm in love with. It's not me before anybody asks." Thank God it's not me. Now, the event was a conference on diversity at the Meek School of Journalism, where Smith spoke about growing up in Holly Springs, Mississippi, attending the First Methodist Church and trying to avoid whatever having a normal social life is. It wasn't until he was 7 or 8 or 9 years ago, he said, "I started living my truth. Before then, every time I considered confronting same-sex attraction, he would go through the same mental checklist. A, you're going to hell for it. B, you never have any friends again. C, what are you going to tell your family? And by the way, you're on television on the craziest conservative network on earth." Now that will probably put you in front of a brick wall, he related. Instead, Smith repressed his feelings and even married a woman. Shock horror. Virginia Donald in 1987. The divorce 6 years later. While his sexuality was long subject to speculation by gossip sites like Gawker, and he found his name appearing with increasing regularity on gay parlors like Out Magazine 100. I don't think they'd ever put me on there. Smith only first came out in the media in October, and it was in a Huffington Post profile, which he voiced support for Ailes. The former CEO faced bombshell sexual harassment lawsuit from former Fox News on-air personality Gretchen Carlson. I loved him like a father, Smith said of his boss, asked by the reporter if Ailes had ever made, I thought this was going to say sexual advances towards him. No. But homophobic remarks around him, and Smith said no, never. He treated me with respect, just respect. Now, I've kind of evolved a lot over the past few years, and I would have said 20 years ago I was one of these gay people where, you know, even the delivery guy needed to know that I was gay. And of course they don't need to know, but when does it get to the point where we can just be like who we are, and not have all of that BS as a part of what we're doing?
Right. I don't think we have to announce our sexuality at every turn.
No.
Right?
No.
But also, I don't think we should feel in any way that we have to be anybody other than who we are. And I think we've entered a new era where people are beginning to feel that way again. They're beginning to feel like we can't really be ourselves, especially in the workplace.
Right.
We kind of have to button everything up, and
It's hard.
I'll tell you one thing, you know, as much as I complain about driving for rideshare, when people get into my car and talk about their work, especially if they're working in finance, I say to myself, oh my gosh, I am so glad to be out. Because what they're complaining about is how they can't be themselves in the office.
Right.
They can't speak up. They can't express their opinions. They can't express who they are. They can't wear what they want. They can't be gay. I mean, really, it's happening again. We're more conservative now in the workplace than we've ever been in my lifetime.
But why do you think that is, Margaret? Are you saying you think there's a specific reason for that? Because, you know, for me, I'm openly gay in the world, but I don't go into work, and I'm not openly gay at work, not because I'm ashamed of who I am, because I go there to work, and I think that sometimes things like sexuality and even political ideologies can cause you problems in the workplace. So I just go to work to be Xander. I don't go to work to be gay Xander.
Right, of course. But I think that it's wrong that if you, let's say you had a husband, I would think that it would be terribly wrong if you were sitting in the workplace and you stopped yourself from saying, my husband and I went to see the Book of Mormon last night. You know? I don't think you should ever feel like you can't say something like that. And I think we really have returned to a workplace where people hesitate again. And, you know, 20 years ago, we weren't hesitating like that.
So are you saying you think that there's a reason for that?
I don't know what the reason is, because, you know, we have all of these committees at work now that are celebrating diversity, and we have sensitivity training, and, you know, we talk a really good game, but the fact of the matter is, we're sort of backsliding, and I don't know why. I really don't.
Yeah, I just for me personally, I think that a lot of gay people are becoming a lot more evolved from the perspective of, like, they don't need to, you know, they don't need to be the gay worker. They just need to be them. And I think I think that one of the positive changes of the past 20 years is that they can be who they are without having to be forceful, because there is an ideology within the LGBTQ ABCDFG community that you really have to be forceful with it. And you know, I was seduced by that, and so everything had to be right for, you know, even the store had to treat me right because I was gay, and to me that just was like, it was like over equality, and I think we've got.
Because at that time, I have a suspicion when that time was, Xander, and I really wouldn't beat yourself up for that, because at that time, like in the period of ACT UP, when we were trying to wake up the world to the HIV epidemic, I think we did have to be forceful. I think we did have to be kind of in your face about it. I think there was a good time for that.
But I don't think that we need to be like that now. And one of the things, you see, I love gay people. I have no problem with gay people, but what concerns me is the self-appointed leadership of the LGBT of today. They push for far more than equality, and if you want more rights than those your counterparts, then that's not equality. That's something absolutely different.
Right. And I think getting back to your other point is, I don't think a lot of people are comfortable being, you know, the gay guy at the office.
Right.
You know, and I think we shouldn't expect people to be like that.
No. I mean, I've always been, wherever I've worked, I've been totally out. And the last, you know, I'm obviously outing myself now because I know some of the people from where I work watch the show. But the difference is that I've not gone in and said, I'm gay. I'm just me. And I think that the difference is that I've not had to announce it, because I'm not bothered anymore. I'm cool with who I am. And if other people aren't cool with it, then that's their issue. I mean, I totally appreciate in some places in this country, people can still be fired for being gay under the premise of something else. And that really bothers me.
Oh, sure. Yeah, fired for being gay, or fired for having a child out of wedlock, or fired for being polyamorous. I've seen that happen a lot. Yeah,
it's absolutely. I mean, if it's not against the law, then why is it anybody else's business?
Right. Exactly.
As far as I'm concerned, because you know, even the thing about gay marriage, I have issues about the way they did it. I've always fought for equality for gay people, but here's been the problem for me, where they added this where companies had to comply. Like you as a straight person couldn't go into a bakery and say, bake me a cake, and if they said no, you couldn't sue them for it. Like the police officer who asked for a cake at Walmart with Blue Lives Matter, they said that they wouldn't do it, but he couldn't sue. But if he'd have been gay, and a cop, he could have sued. But do you see the point that I'm making? Because there are going to be people in life who don't want to celebrate your choices or whatever you want to call it, and that's absolutely fine too. But I wouldn't want somebody baking a cake for me from the perspective of them not wanting to do it anyway. I would far rather somebody make it that really kind of, you know, wanted to do it and make a difference, you know, and do it for me. But I don't feel that.
It's much better when it's made with joy in the heart.
Yes, exactly. But I don't think we should be able to sue people for, you know, if you went to a Muslim bakery and you asked them to make you a Christian wedding cake and they refused, you couldn't sue them for that. I just think that the unfortunate byproduct of the Same-Sex Marriage Act was that it was used to oppress Christians. Because Christians, I don't need anybody to agree with me or my lifestyle or what I choose to do. But to legally enforce agreement to it, it just seems wrong to me.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
But by the same token, I would never, I can't kind of say, oh, well, you know, it's okay to treat people badly. But I think in like a real situation, like if I go to buy, I don't know what, I can't even think of, if I go to buy something and they don't want to sell it to me, there are 100 other people out there. This is, you know, and market forces will prevail because ultimately if you are doing things like that, you know, it's gonna kind of like affect your business. But I think the long term, things have actually got better. You know, whatever people might say, things have got a lot better.
Well, things have gotten better, but then, you know, I remember being really shocked that was that I was old, and it was really my workplace that let me know that I was old.
Old?
You know,
You're younger than me. How can you be old?
oh, darling, I have been put out to pasture.
Oh, gosh.
Yes. I mean, I don't think anybody's ever going to hire me as an executive assistant again. I'm too old. They want somebody prettier who's going to take a lower salary.
Yeah, I've applied for jobs because I'm a freelancer and so from time to time I'm looking for work because the media is my front runner, but obviously you've got to pay the bills, and I've been told I'm overqualified, which I'm like, because for me, from a perspective of being a manager, I would far rather employ somebody that was overqualified and able to do the job. But they're scared as well. Do you know that? They're scared that you might take their job, and that's a concern as to me too, as far as I'm concerned, because if you're that concerned about somebody taking your job, shouldn't you be looking for something else?
Yes, indeed. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's we went full circle on that one, but yeah, I don't care whether Shep Smith is gay or straight. Ultimately, it doesn't make me like him any more or any less. But what I do think is imperative is that people should just accept people for who they are, regardless of who they sleep with or who they pray to or what they believe.
I agree. And sometimes, I don't agree with who people are sleeping with or who they're praying to or what they believe. But
Really?
I think that should prohibit them from living their life as freely as possible.
No, exactly. Because even just in America, even Satanists have the right to practice their religion, or I think that would be more like non-religion. They've got the right to do what they want to do. I mean, polygamy is illegal. I mean, in some states you can marry your sister, but polygamy is illegal. So my general rule of thumb, if it's consenting and it's within the law and it doesn't involve animals or children, it's okay. I just don't necessarily want to know about it.
Wait a second. I can't marry Buster?
No.
Oh.
No, I mean,
would definitely consent.
He is very cute, and I would definitely sing at the wedding. Buster is Margaret's dog. Before everybody's saying, why can't she marry Buster? Number one, she's already married, and I wonder what your husband would say about that.
Margaret should be able to marry whomever she likes.
Yes, exactly. I mean, what next? I mean, the funniest thing is that, did you know that there are like 50 genders now on Facebook? I'm a unicorn, as you can see. My horn is kind of like invisible, but I want the taxpayers to pay for it to be sewn onto my head. So you just see this multicolored horn coming out of the top of my head. But yes, there are now 50 plus genders on Facebook. I'm trans unicorn. That's what I am.
Oh, I love it.
Yes.
I'm already happily married to a tattooed man.
Yes.
I would have to divorce him to marry Buster, and then Buster would be very upset because that's his dad, and it would make his daddy very sad.
Absolutely. You see, so I'm sure your husband wouldn't want you to marry a dog. So we are in the last little bit of time together, but I wanted you to tell people about the gig that you do. You're a monthly. She can tell us about a monthlies. Margaret does a gig once a month. Tell us what it's called and where it's at.
It's called Monologues and Madness, and it's at the Cornelia Street Cafe, which is at 26 Cornelia Street in the West Village, very near West 4th Street train stop. And it's the first Monday of every month at 6 p.m. We have writers who are test driving new material for 4 minutes or less. There's usually about 18 to 20 of us who read between the hours of 6 and 8 p.m. on that first Monday of every month. And it's really fun. And the food at the Cornelia Street Cafe is amazing. And the Cornelia Street Cafe has given birth to many, many, many artists over the last 30, 40 years. Suzanne Vega wrote Tom's Diner at the Cornelia Street Cafe.
Wow.
And she's actually been guest starring at Monologues and Madness these last few months because she is putting the final touches on a play that she's going to premiere in Houston in February. So we're getting to hear her new material, and we're also getting to hear the new material from several other writers as well. And I've been working on a new one-woman show and test driving new material there for years and years. I've written 2 one-woman shows while performing there. I'm working on a third.
I want to come see you live. When I was putting some stuff together for you recently to put in the the weekly mail out, I happened to watch your video again, the Finding Gavin video, and watched most of it and was just blown away. I want to come and see you live. So you have to perform sometime on a night that I'm not doing the show. So I can come and take
I would love that.
part.
It would be fantastic to have you in my audience.
Absolutely, and I'll bring my camera and we'll do an interview and stuff as well, and
great.
and include it in the TV show. So make sure you go check Margret out. If you are in New York, check her out. Is it the first Monday of every month?
Yes, the first Monday of every month. So next month it will be Monday the 5th of June.
Right. At the Cornelia Street Cafe in New York, and you can find all about that on MargretEcheverria.com. And if you follow her on Facebook, you'll be able to get reminders and stuff about what's going on. But listen, Margret, thank you so much for sharing with us tonight, and have a great weekend. I look forward to speaking to you very soon.
You too, darling. Love you.
Love you too. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was Margret Echeverria. Make sure you check her out at MargretEcheverria.com. Thanks to everyone who's made today's show possible. Thanks to everyone in the live feed. Far too many to mention. For those of you who keep asking about the opening tune and the closing tune, is from my album, which is called The Platinum Prequel, and the song is called This Is Love, and that is available on iTunes. I'm going to share the link now, so if you would like to go and check that out, feel free to do so. On tomorrow's show, my co-host is Andrea Kay, and our guest is CV Burton, who I think is actually in the live feed tonight. So that's going to be interesting. I've not interviewed CV before. So make sure you join us tomorrow night. Stay safe, stay warm, be good, if that's possible for my audience. But take care of yourselves, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Love, it has been good to me this time around. Things were never bound to change when